Most people waste their entire lives obsessed with what others think, and it's destroying them. Here's why you need to stop immediately. You ever catch yourself scrolling through social media, comparing your life to someone else's highlight reel, or stressing over what that one person said about you? Here's the hard truth. The more you focus on others, the less you focus on yourself. And that's the fastest way to stay stuck. Today, we're breaking down the exact steps to shift your energy inward, where it actually matters. We live in a world that's constantly screaming, "Look at them. Why aren't you doing that? Why don't you have that?" It's noise. And if you don't learn to block it out, you'll spend your life chasing validation instead of building something real. The real challenge, most people don't even realize they're doing it. Let's break this down into 10 key lessons, no fluff, just straight wisdom you can use. Your mind is your greatest asset or your worst enemy. Think about this for a second. Right now, as you're watching this, your mind is doing one of two things. It's either working for you or against you. And here's how you can tell. If you've ever lost sleep over what someone said about you, if you've ever held yourself back because you were afraid of what people might think, if you've ever wasted hours scrolling through social media feeling like you're not enough, that's your mind working against you. But the moment you realize that, that's the moment everything changes. Your mind is like a garden. Plant the right seeds and you'll grow something incredible. Let weeds take over and suddenly nothing useful can grow there. Every thought you entertain is either a seed or a weed. Worrying about someone else's opinion? Weed. Obsessing over a mistake you made last week? Weed. Fantasizing about what you could do if you stopped doubting yourself? That's a seed, and seeds grow. Here's the hard truth. Nobody is coming to save you from your own thought. You have to do that yourself. And it starts with recognizing the patterns. The next time you catch yourself overthinking what someone else thinks, pause. Ask yourself, is this thought helping me or hurting me? If it's not moving you forward, it's holding you back, period. Now let's talk about control, because that's where most people get stuck. You can't control what others say, do, or think, but you can control what you focus on. And what you focus on expands. Spend your energy on things outside your control, and you'll feel powerless. Redirect that energy inward and suddenly you're unstoppable. Imagine waking up tomorrow and deciding, just for one day, that you wouldn't let outside opinions affect you. No checking likes, no replaying conversations, no comparing. Just you, your goals, and the work. How different would that day feel? Now imagine doing that for a week, a month, a year. That's the power of training your mind. It's not about ignoring reality, it's about choosing where to put your attention. And here's the thing, the world will always give you reasons to doubt yourself. There will always be someone who seems ahead, someone who criticizes, someone who makes you question whether you're good enough. But those are just tests. Every time you choose to focus on your own path instead of theirs, you pass. Every time you silence the noise and listen to your own voice, you win. So start small. Catch one negative thought today and replace it with something useful. Tomorrow, do it twice. Keep going until your default setting is focus, not fear. Because the mind is like a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it gets. And a strong mind doesn't waste time on things that don't matter. 2. Comparison is a trap. You've done it, I've done it, we all have. You see someone's success, maybe it's a friend, a coworker, or some stranger online, and suddenly your own progress feels small, maybe even worthless. But here's what they don't tell you. Comparison isn't just stealing your joy, it's stealing your future. Let's break it down. When you compare yourself to someone else, you're not even comparing real things. You're comparing your behind the scenes to their highlight reel. You see their wins but not their struggles, their polished results but not the 50 failed attempts it took to get there. You're measuring your entire journey against a single snapshot of theirs. And that's not just unfair, it's delusional. Think about it like this. If you're trying to grow a plant, you don't stare at your neighbor's garden all day wondering why yours isn't as tall yet. You water your own, you give it sunlight, you trust the process. But when it comes to our own lives, we forget that. We see someone else's overnight success and forget that nights, probably years of work went into it. Now here's the shift that changes everything. The only person you should compare yourself to is you. The you from yesterday, last month, last year. Because that's the only comparison that actually means something. That's the only one that shows you your progress. And progress, no matter how small, is still forward motion. Let me ask you something. If you woke up tomorrow and truly didn't care what anyone else was doing, how would you spend your day? What would you create? What risks would you take? That version of you, the one free from comparison, is the version that changes everything. Because when you stop looking sideways, you can finally move forward. And here's the secret nobody talks about. The people you're comparing yourself to, they're comparing themselves to someone else too. It's a cycle that never ends. The only way out is to step off the treadmill, to decide right now that your journey is yours alone, that your pace is your pace, that your success doesn't have to look like anyone else's to count. So next time you catch yourself falling into the comparison trap, pause. Remind yourself, I'm on my own path. Then get back to work. Because the only competition that matters is the one between who you are and who you're capable of becoming. And that's a race worth running. Most opinions don't matter. Let's be real. You care too much about what people think. And I get it, we all do at some point. But here's the cold hard truth. Most of those opinions, they don't matter at all. In fact, the more you let them influence you, the further you get from the life you actually want. Think about the last time someone criticized you. Maybe it was a comment about your work, your choices, even your appearance. How long did you dwell on it? An hour? A day? Maybe even weeks? Now ask yourself, did that person's opinion do anything for you? Did it help you grow? Did it pay your bills? Did it make you stronger, smarter, or happier? Or did it just take up space in your head? Space that could have been used for something better. Here's a simple rule. If someone's opinion isn't feeding you, financing you, or fundamentally changing your life in 5 years, it's noise. And noise is something you learn to tune out. The problem isn't that people have opinions, everyone's got one. The problem is that we give them weight. We treat them like facts, like they define us, but they don't. The only opinions that should matter to you are the ones that come from people who are in your life, not just passing through it. People who've earned the right to speak into your world because they've been where you're going, because they genuinely want to see you win. Everyone else, they're just talking. And let's be honest, most people aren't even thinking about you as much as you think they are. They're too busy worrying about their own lives, their own insecurities, their own problems. That snide remark they made, that judgmental look, that wasn't about you, that was about them. Hurt people. Hurt people. Insecure people try to bring others down. Misery loves company. Once you realize that, their words lose power. So how do you stop letting irrelevant opinions control you? You start by asking one question. Does this person's opinion have a real impact on my life? If the answer is no, and it usually is, then you have permission to let it go. Not to fight it, not to argue with it, just to release it. Like dropping a weight you've been carrying for no reason. The most successful people in the world didn't get there by listening to everyone. They got there by knowing who to listen to and who to ignore. Because success isn't about pleasing people. It's about staying true to yourself, your vision, and the few voices that actually matter. So the next time you feel yourself getting worked up over what someone thinks, pause. Ask yourself, will this matter in 5 years? If not, drop it. Your peace of mind is worth more than their 2 cents. 4. Success starts with ignoring distraction. You want to know the real difference between people who make it and people who don't. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's not even intelligence. It's this, the ability to ignore what doesn't matter. Think about it. The world is louder than ever. Everywhere you turn, there's something trying to grab your attention. Social media, news, gossip, drama, other people's opinions, other people's problems. And if you're not careful, you'll spend your whole life reacting to noise instead of building something real. The most successful people aren't the ones with the highest IQs or the most natural talent. They're the ones who know how to focus, the ones who can sit in a room full of chaos and keep working, the ones who don't get pulled into every little thing happening around them, because they understand something most people don't. Distractions are expensive. Every minute you spend on something that isn't moving you forward is a minute you're not spending on what could. Let's talk about distractions for a second. They don't just waste your time, they drain your energy. Ever notice how after scrolling through social media for an hour, you feel more tired, not less? Or how after getting into some pointless argument, your whole mood shifts? That's because distractions don't just take your time, they take your focus, your creativity, your drive. And once those are gone, it's hard to get them back. Now here's the good news, you don't have to live like that. You can train yourself to ignore the nonsense. It starts with recognizing what's actually important to you. What's your goal? What's your vision? What's the one thing you want to achieve more than anything else? Because once you know that, everything else becomes background noise. Successful people don't have some magical ability to avoid distractions. They just care more about their mission than the noise. When temptation comes, and it will, they don't fight it. They don't argue with it. They just refocus. They ask themselves, is this helping me get where I want to go? If the answer is no, they move on. And here's the key. They don't wait for motivation. They don't wait for the right moment. They just do the work, day after day, whether they feel like it or not. Because they know that consistency beats motivation every time. So how do you get there? Start small. Cut out one distraction today. Maybe it's turning off notifications for an hour. Maybe it's not checking your phone first thing in the morning. Maybe it's walking away from conversations that don't serve you. Small wins build momentum, and momentum builds success. The bottom line, success isn't about doing more. It's about focusing better. It's about knowing what to ignore so you can zero in on what matters. Because when you stop giving your energy to distractions, you'll be amazed at how much you can actually accomplish. The choice is yours. You can keep getting pulled in every direction, or you can plant your feet, block out the noise, and go after what you really want. One path leads to frustration. The other leads to results. Which one will you choose? You can't control others. Only your response. Here's something you need to tattoo on your mind. You will never control what other people say or do. Never. Not through kindness, not through anger, not through logic or pleading. That person who keeps disappointing you, the coworker who talks behind your back, the family member who always pushes your buttons, they're going to keep being exactly who they are. And that's not your problem. Your problem is what you do next. Let's break this down because it's the difference between living stressed and living free. When someone does something that upsets you, there are always two components: their action and your reaction. Their action, that's on them. That's their character, their issues, their baggage. But your reaction, that's 100% yours. And here's the life-changing part. You get to choose. Most people never realize this. They spend their lives as emotional puppets, letting other people pull their strings. Someone insults them, they get angry. Someone ignores them, they feel worthless. Someone betrays them, they lose faith in everyone. It's like handing over the remote control to your emotions and saying, here, you decide how I feel today. That's no way to live. The moment you truly understand this principle is the moment you become unstoppable. Because now when someone tries to throw you off your game, you don't have to play along. That rude comment, you can let it pass like a leaf floating down a river. That intentional slight, you can choose to be amused rather than offended. That betrayal, you can decide what it means about them rather than what it means about you. This isn't about suppressing emotions. It's about reclaiming power. Think about the last time someone really got under your skin. Now imagine if instead of reacting immediately, you'd paused, taken a breath, asked yourself, is this worth my energy? How different would that situation have been? That pause is where your power lives. Here's how to train this muscle. Start small. Next time someone cuts you off in traffic, instead of honking or cursing, just let it go. Notice how it feels to choose your response. Next time someone says something mildly annoying, practice smiling and moving on. These small victories build your emotional discipline. Then when the big stuff happens, and it will, you'll be ready. Remember this, every interaction is a test, not of what they think of you, but of what you think of yourself. When you stop letting others dictate your emotions, you send yourself a powerful message. I'm in control here. And that confidence changes everything. The people who seem unshakable aren't lucky, they've just mastered this one skill. They know that while they can't control the storm around them, they can always control their own ship. And that makes all the difference between those who get knocked down and those who keep moving forward no matter what. 6, time is non-refundable. There's a clock running on your life right now. Every second that passes is gone forever. And here's what most people don't want to face. You're probably wasting more of those precious seconds than you realize. Those 20 minutes scrolling through drama on social media, gone. That hour-long conversation where you just complained about everything wrong in your life, gone. That afternoon you spent obsessing over what someone thinks about you, gone. And here's the brutal truth. You'll never get any of that time back. Let's talk about time like it's money, because it's actually more valuable. If you lost $100, you could always make more. But if you lose an hour, that's gone for good. Yet most people spend their time like it's infinite. Like there's always more where that came from. Until one day they wake up and realize they've wasted years on things that didn't matter. Think about your average day. How much of your time is actually moving you forward? How much is spent on things that will matter in a year? 5 years? On your deathbed? That last question might seem dramatic, but it's the only one that really matters. Because when people look back on their lives, they don't regret the things they did, they regret the things they didn't do, the time they wasted, the chances they didn't take. Here's the good news. Every minute is a new chance to change this. Starting right now, you can look at your time differently. You can start asking yourself before any activity, is this worth my life? Because that's what you're really spending. Pieces of your life. That gossip session with coworkers, that's 30 minutes of your one precious life. That Netflix binge when you said you were going to work on your side hustle, there goes another hour you'll never get back. The most successful people aren't necessarily smarter or more talented, they're just more protective of their time. They say no to things that don't matter so they can say yes to things that do. They understand that time is the only truly limited resource, and they treat it that way. This isn't about being productive every second. Rest and relaxation are important too. It's about being intentional. It's about knowing the difference between activities that drain you and activities that fill you up. Scrolling mindlessly through Instagram for an hour leaves most people feeling empty. An hour spent reading, creating, or connecting with someone you love, that's time well spent. Try this experiment. For one day, track how you spend every hour. Be brutally honest with yourself. At the end of the day, add up how much time went toward your goals, your growth, your happiness. Then add up how much time was wasted on things that didn't matter. The results might shock you. The choice is simple but not easy. Keep spending your time like you have an unlimited supply, or start treating each day like the irreplaceable gift it is. One path leads to regret. The other leads to a life where, when your time is finally up, you can look back and say, I made the most of it. Which will you choose? Real confidence doesn't come from outside approval. It comes from knowing, really knowing what you're capable of. And that only happens one way, by doing the work when nobody's watching. Think about the last time you accomplished something difficult. Not something someone told you to do, but something you decided to tackle yourself. Remember how that felt? That quiet pride that didn't need announcing? That's real confidence. It doesn't need an audience because it's not performing, it's knowing. The problem is, most people never develop this because they're too busy waiting for permission to feel good about themselves. Here's how it really works. Confidence is earned through action. Every time you push through fear and do something anyway, you deposit a little more belief in yourself. Every time you keep going when you want to quit, you strengthen that inner voice that says, I can handle this. It's not about being perfect. It's about being persistent. The athlete doesn't gain confidence from winning trophies. They gain it from all those mornings they trained when no one was cheering. Now let's talk about why you keep looking for external validation. It's simple, it's easy. Waiting for someone else to say you're good enough means you don't have to risk failing. But here's the catch. You'll always need more. One compliment turns into needing 10. 10 likes turns into needing 100. It's a hunger that never gets satisfied because you're feeding the wrong part of yourself. The shift happens when you stop asking, do they think I'm good enough, and start asking, what do I want to accomplish today? See the difference? One keeps you stuck in their opinions. The other moves you forward. Action builds competence and competence builds confidence. It's that simple. Not easy, but simple. Try this. For 1 week, do something small but meaningful without telling anyone. Could be waking up early to work on your project. Could be finally starting that workout routine. Could be having that tough conversation you've been avoiding. Notice how you feel when you know you've done the work, regardless of who sees it. That feeling, that's the beginning of real confidence. Remember this, people who need constant validation are easy to spot. They're the ones constantly adjusting themselves to fit what others want. People with real confidence, they're too busy creating to worry about opinions. Which one do you want to be? Small minds discuss people. Great minds discuss ideas. Listen closely to your conversations today. Really listen. How much of what you talk about is people? What they're doing, what they're wearing, who they're dating, why they're wrong. Now ask yourself, is this how I want to use my mind? Because here's an uncomfortable truth. What you discuss determines where your energy goes. Talk about people, and you'll always be stuck in drama. Talk about ideas, and you'll start creating something better. Gossip is like junk food for the mind. It feels satisfying in the moment, but leaves you empty afterward. Yet so many people's daily conversations are nothing but this mental junk food. Did you hear what she did? Can you believe he said that? Here's the question no one asks. Even if it's true, does discussing it help anyone? Does it move your life forward? Or does it just keep you circling the same petty dramas? Now contrast that with conversations about ideas. What if we tried this? I've been thinking about how to solve that problem. Have you considered this perspective? Feel the difference? One conversation drains energy. The other creates it. One keeps you stuck in what is. The other opens doors to what could be. The choice seems obvious when you see it this way. Yet most people default to gossip without thinking. This isn't about being pretentious or only discussing deep topics. It's about being intentional with your attention. That hour you spent dissecting someone else's relationship, that could have been an hour brainstorming how to improve your own. That conversation about who got fired and why, that could have been time spent discussing how to make yourself indispensable at work. Here's how to make the shift. Start noticing when conversations turn to gossip. Don't judge it. Just notice. Then gently steer it toward ideas. Instead of talking about what they're doing wrong, what could we do right? Rather than focusing on their problems, what solutions can we create? It might feel awkward at first, but soon you'll notice something amazing. The people who matter will follow your lead, and the ones who don't, well, they'll find someone else to gossip with. Pay attention to who you spend time with. The people constantly talking about others are usually avoiding work on themselves. The people discussing ideas, they're the ones building something. You get to choose which group you join every time you open your mouth. Remember, great things are never created by people obsessed with petty drama. They're built by people too focused on possibilities to care about gossip. Your words show where your mind is. Make sure it's somewhere worth being. 9. Silence is power. There's a secret most people never learn. The loudest person in the room is rarely the most powerful. Real strength doesn't come from having the last word or the quickest comeback. It comes from knowing when to say nothing at all. Think about the last time someone tried to get under your skin. Maybe they took a cheap shot, made a snide remark, or pushed your buttons just to see if they could get a reaction. Now think about what happened when you didn't give them one. That silence? That's power. Not the kind that shouts or demands attention, but the kind that can't be shaken. Most people react to everything. Someone insults them, they fire back. Someone challenges them, they argue. Someone tries to provoke them, they engage. And in doing so, they hand over control of their emotions, their energy, their focus, to whoever happens to be pulling their strings in that moment. But when you choose silence, you take that control back. You're no longer playing by their rules. You're not even playing the same game. Here's why this works. Words are easy. Anyone can talk, argue, or defend themselves. But silence makes people uncomfortable. It forces them to sit with what they've said, to wonder if it landed, to question whether they got to you. When they realize they didn't, that's when they start to unravel. Ever seen someone keep talking, keep explaining, keep digging themselves deeper, all because you refuse to react? That's the power of silence. It turns their energy back on them. This isn't about suppressing your feelings or pretending things don't bother you. It's about choosing where to direct your energy. Every time you react to something meaningless, you're draining yourself for no reason. Every time you stay silent, you're preserving that energy for things that actually matter. Think of it like this. Your attention is currency. The more you spend it on nonsense, the less you have left for what's important. Silence keeps your account full. The hardest part isn't staying quiet, it's resisting the urge to prove yourself. We're wired to want the last word, to defend our pride, to make sure people know we're not to be messed with. But here's the truth. People who need to prove their strength usually don't have much. The ones who are truly strong don't feel the need to announce it. They don't need everyone to know they're right. They don't need to win every argument, because they know something most don't. Real power isn't in the reaction. It's in the ability not to react at all. This takes practice. The next time someone says something stupid, try this. Pause, just for a few seconds. Breathe. Ask yourself, will responding help me, or will it just feed my ego? Most of the time you'll realize the answer is no, and in that moment you'll feel something shift. A quiet confidence that doesn't need validation from anyone else. That's the beginning of real strength. The world is loud, everyone's shouting, arguing, trying to be heard. But the people who truly command respect aren't the ones making the most noise. They're the ones who don't need to. They speak when it matters, and when it doesn't, they let their silence do the talking. That's the kind of power that can't be taken from you because it comes from within. So the next time you're tempted to engage, to defend, to react, ask yourself, is this worth my energy? If it's not, say nothing. Let your silence be the answer, and watch how quickly people realize they never had any power over you to begin with. The only approval you need is your own. Here's a truth that will set you free if you let it. You will never, and I mean never, get everyone to like you. Some people will disapprove no matter what you do. Others will change their opinion of you like the weather. A few might even pretend to support you while secretly hoping you fail. So why waste your life chasing their approval when the only person whose opinion truly matters is staring back at you in the mirror every morning? Think about how much time you've spent worrying about what others think. That outfit you didn't wear because someone might judge it. That idea you didn't share because it might sound stupid. That opportunity you didn't take because people might talk. Now ask yourself, how did their imaginary opinions help you? Did they pay your bills? Did they make you happy? Did they move your life forward? Or did they just hold you back from being who you really are? The moment you stop needing outside validation is the moment you become unstoppable, because suddenly you're not making decisions based on fear of judgment. You're making them based on what's right for you. That doesn't mean you become selfish or stop caring about others. It means you stop letting random opinions determine your worth. Your value isn't decided by committee. It's decided by you. Here's how you know you're still seeking too much approval. If criticism ruins your day, if silence makes you anxious, if you constantly explain yourself when no one asked, you're still giving other people too much power. The shift happens when you realize that what people say about you says more about them than it does about you. Happy, fulfilled people don't spend their time tearing others down. The ones who do, they're usually fighting their own private battles you know nothing about. This isn't about becoming arrogant or thinking you're perfect. It's about developing an inner compass so strong that outside opinions become background noise. When you know who you are and what you stand for, you don't need everyone to understand you. You don't need to convince anyone of your worth. You just need to keep moving forward according to your own standards. Try this test. At the end of each day, ask yourself one question. Did I live according to my values today? Not your parents' values, not your friends' expectations, not society's rules, yours. When you can honestly say yes more often than no, you'll notice something incredible. The opinions that used to bother you won't land the same way anymore, because you'll know deep down that you're being true to yourself. And that knowledge is worth more than all the approval in the world. The most successful people aren't the ones who pleased everyone. They're the ones who pleased themselves first. They understood that trying to make everyone happy is a recipe for misery. That authenticity attracts the right people and repels the wrong ones. That at the end of your life, you won't regret the people you disappointed. You'll regret the times you disappointed yourself by not being who you really were. So starting today, make this promise to yourself. You will be your own toughest judge and your most loyal supporter. You will measure yourself by your own standards. You will forgive your mistakes but never make excuses. And when you look in that mirror, you'll see someone you respect, not because they were perfect, but because they had the courage to be real. That's the only approval that lasts. That's the only approval that matters. And unlike the fickle opinions of others, it's something no one can ever take away from you. Here's the turning point. You already have everything you need to succeed. The only thing standing in your way, distraction. The moment you stop giving energy to what others are doing, you free yourself to build the life you want.